Hello, hello. Sorry, I still would have music, but I am at a different computer. Hey, come on in here. I get my computer on here. Hey, come on in. Hi, Callie. All right, I'll give you a couple seconds to share this. I promise to keep you less than 30 minutes because I got patience in 30 minutes. So just so you know, you got in. It's a miracle. You're in there. You're in there. Nana Crosby, how are you? Oh, well, hi. Lauren Brett's mom, Miss Nana. That's awesome. Love it. I love your daughter. She is amazing and is a light in dark places. Like that girl makes me want to smile and laugh all the time. You know what I'm saying? Would love to hear about Dynasty. I am going to do one on Dynasty, but I'm going to do it probably Friday when I have time to really kind of wrap my brain around it. So, give me a couple of days to kind of get set up, and then I'll get it going. North Carolina, Tucker, hello. Surgical induced menopause, that is a thing. Yep, Jen, so let's talk about that. Not sure why sometimes it says chat room is too full with under 200. I think it's a bandwidth thing on Periscope, honestly. All right, I've missed you guys. Man, I've been out of town for a few days. Thank you for being flexible yesterday. Sorry it's a little darker in here today. I'm in a different room in front of the computer, and you know what? Like I just don't have any lighting in here, like in the other room. Man, I appreciate you guys, being flexible with me yesterday. I hung out with the kids. I was in Baltimore at creating a dynasty with Danny Johnson all weekend, and it was fantastic. And so I'll talk about that another time. Color's good in here? Okay, good. I'll talk about that about a couple days, probably on Friday, because today, what today's scope is about is we're going to be talking about menopause, okay? So what we're going to do today, though, is I'm going to split this into two different talks because I want you guys to get the function of it, and I want you guys to understand what's happening because it is very, very simple. Very simple. Hey, I'm not doing a cleanse, but the diet stuff is going good. We started autoimmune protocol, and it's fantastic. Juice cleanse I finished 2 or 3 weeks ago. Great. So I want you to understand how the process works because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And most of the time, the misinformation, I'm going to kind of go this way on you. How's that? Is that better? Yes, I like that. The misinformation, I feel like, is mainly to make money off of you. Okay? The misinformation, I feel like, is really more marketing. And so, really, I want you guys to understand how this works. Now, here's what I'm not going to give you in this scope. We're going to do this next time. So tomorrow, I'm going to give you how to support someone in a menopause lifestyle with supplements and other things. Today, I'm going to talk about what happens and the two main problems with it, but we have to kind of separate it out, okay? Like we have to kind of separate the two videos out. Man, we'll be praying for those people at UCLA. For sure. Okay, so menopause today. Let's get going on this. If you're new to my scopes, thank you so much for logging on and taking part of your lunch. Issues having a hysterectomy with leaving the ovaries? Yes, I'm going to talk about that a little bit because there is specific things that happen with that are different. Hi, Paula. All right, here's the website. Go to family-wellness.com. Make sure you can see that good. On family-wellness.com, you can get to the Facebook page where I post a lot of the videos after. I load all the videos up to YouTube, though. So the YouTube channel, make sure you get on there and you just search my name. At Dr. Jim Bob on any of the other social medias, but just look up Dr. Jim Bob Hagerton on YouTube, and then videos will be on there. The estrogen video and supporting it and stuff is on that channel already, so go check that out. I'll make sure and post it on Facebook as well. Okay? Disclaimer today, remember, I'm not diagnosing your stuff. I'm not really going over your specific thing. And so if you need help with it, though, I would love to help you. I do phone consults. I've got 3 phone consults today. People who are not local, who I talk to on the phone from all over the world. And I would love to help you. If you're interested in that, go to that website, go back in the video, and please contact me and I can get you in and we'll do a phone consult to go over the nutrition. Because there's very simple ways that you can help support the body and help it heal. And it is designed to heal. The Father created our bodies to heal. It's just that we put ourselves into situations that make that difficult. Difficult relationships, difficult, stressful job environments, difficult dietary things. There's so many things that we put ourselves in that make it hard for the body to heal and to do what it's already created to do. Okay, so let's learn about menopause and let's talk about that today. And I need to apologize. Like, I realized I had, Lisa came in here and she brought to my attention that of all the different information, all the things that are out there, and even all the things that I had done, that there's very little information for you guys over the age of 50, 55, especially the women. There's very little information on what happens with menopause type symptoms or what happens in these situations and how to help it. And I was like, well, dang, like, let's fix that. Let's get some information and let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about what it is. You hate perimenopause? That is totally a thing. You know what? I just hired a therapist 5 minutes before I got on the call today. I just got it. I just hired a therapist and I just hired a chiropractor last week. So we are blessed and super favored, and so we're getting some new blood in here and some new team members, and so we're excited about that. So let's get this going. I want to make sure that I steward your time correctly. All right, because I don't know if you guys understand or not, or if you realize this or not, but well, thank you so much for praying about that, Janet, because that helped out a lot, and now we're set. Okay, Heather, thank you for sharing. The thing about menopause is, did you understand that menopause in America, and the conditions and the symptoms and the mood changes and all of the issues that happen with menopause and menopausal women in America is not the same as across the world? Did you guys understand? You realize that so many of the countries, when a woman gets ready to go into menopause, it is a celebrated rite of passage, and it's actually this easy transition. I'm going to explain why at the end. You guys stay to the end. It won't take me long. I'm going to show you why. But in America, Americans, when I say menopause, okay, menopause, all of you guys go, all this stuff. Like, you start telling me your symptoms. And we're going to go through a few of the most common, not normal, most common symptoms that happen during menopause. But it's something I want you to consider, and I want you to remember, and I want you to focus on, that in America, menopause is rough, and there's specific reasons why, and it is not that way across the world. And in all these different countries, it is not this horribly hated thing. Like, I hate perimenopause. You don't hear that all across the world. That's not what happens, okay? Now, let's talk about the definition of actual menopause. Actual menopause, all right? So when a woman has gone into menopause, is the absence of a menstrual cycle for at least 12 months. So if you have not had a menstrual cycle for at least 12 months, and it's not because that you're either on fertility medication or you're a super athlete and you're a young gymnast, okay, and you're working out too much and your cycle is off. If you are a quote-unquote normal woman and you have not had a cycle in 12 months or more, then you are potentially going into menopause. Now, what's the age range for menopause? Well, typical age range, I put this on this page. I skipped a couple. Typical age range for menopause is 55 to 65. So more normal age is 55 to 65. Common, man, there's a lot of different ages that are really common at going into menopause. 45 is still young, but that happens a lot these days. We have 30 and 35-year-olds going into menopause, right? Now, if your cycle is all over the place, all right? Like, if your cycle, you miss a cycle, you have a cycle, you miss a cycle, and you're having different irregularity of it, and you're around 50, okay, then you're in what we call perimenopause. Perimenopause, it means you're not in full-on menopause. You're not like full-on into that time frame, but you're close, and you're getting there. Now, perimenopause can happen for years. That's the frustrating part of it for so many women. Perimenopause, it's not like a 6-month thing. Sometimes it goes on for years and years until a woman fully goes into menopause. Yeah, so not to like be a Debbie Downer, but until you balance out the hormones and feed your body, sometimes it can last a long time, okay? So just to keep your mind focused, all right? Now, there are 2 different ways that women can go into menopause, all right? 2 different ways, and then I'm going to explain what's happening, okay? There is naturally going into menopause, when you naturally get to the stage when your body is ready to transition. And then there's surgical menopause, okay? There's surgical menopause. Can you get pregnant in perimenopause? Well, you're not technically full-on in menopause yet. And until you are fully in menopause and the ovaries have completely stopped working, then yes, you're still fertile. And you still have fertility signs and you can still become pregnant. because the organs are still working. So, and that is exactly what's happening, all right? So in natural menopause, at the age when a woman is in the period of time when her body is done being fertile. It literally is like your body is done with having kids. It's done with that fertile cycle. And now it's time. The body is saying this. It's time for us to transition to this new period of time. Then what happens is the ovaries start to naturally shut down. Okay. So what goes on is that a woman's ovaries are and should be naturally stopping function. So the ovaries are really responsible for secreting so many of the hormones for women, but the main hormone, okay, that is really secreted by the ovaries is estrogen, right? And so I've talked about that in the last couple of scopes. Go watch the replays if you missed that one. But the number one thing is that they secrete estrogen. Well, estrogen is a hormone that is really key on increasing fertility and on preparing a woman's body to become pregnant in the first half of her cycle. So I'm going to explain that. Ask me that again on why the hair growth and stuff like that. I'm going to explain it. So when a woman gets to the age, whether that's 45 or 65 or whatever the age range is, 50-ish is the average, like I said, 55, then, and her body is done. And it's done having kids, the hormones have switched, it's ready. Naturally, the ovaries will start to like pitter-putter, stop, and they'll stop producing estrogen and the other hormones. And that woman should be able to gracefully walk into a new season in her life called menopause, okay? Now, how many of you gracefully walk into that new stage called menopause triumphantly? Not that many, like a lot of them, especially in America. In America, it's like a really rough transition, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be there, okay? So in surgical menopause, okay? In surgical menopause, it's the same thing that's happening, but it's traumatic. Okay, like surgical menopause is different than a woman going into natural menopause only in the sense that when she goes into menopause, she is forced into menopause because of having to have her hysterectomy, okay, and having to change. Now, with hysterectomies and stuff and with surgeries, right, everybody's like, yay, Cindy's on. With surgeries and hysterectomies, if the woman has had a partial hysterectomy, meaning they've taken the uterus and left the ovaries, then she can still have perimenopausal symptoms for a lot longer because the ovaries can still keep producing the hormones until they finally stop. So, for example, let's say that they take and you do a partial hysterectomy and you're 35, whatever, just for an example, and they leave the ovaries in because the ovaries are okay or whatever. Well, you've messed up the fertility cycle. The body knows that you're now no longer going to have kids because you don't have a uterus. So the body will start the process of shutting down and shutting those hormones down, but it's going to take longer. You may have really wacky hormonal symptoms for a lot longer because those ovaries left in there can continue creating hormone release over time. You see this? So, and that's typically the partial hysterectomy of what happens. And so you just have to really support your endocrine system. You have to really support your hormones, and you've got to support your progesterone pathway if that's your situation, okay? Period. Now, in normal menopause, okay, does endometrial ablation affect hormones? Of course it does. It totally affects hormones. Anything done on the inside of your reproductive tract will affect the hormones because the body has to respond to it. Okay, it has to really respond because it kind of freaks out a little bit. All right, so here's one thing that I want you to get, and I want you guys to understand, and I want you guys to get in your mind, and I want you guys to change your thinking about. Menopause is not a condition. Like, you're not diagnosed with menopause. Menopause is normal, and menopause is a transition. It is a period of time, okay? So I want you to change your brain about this because part of you guys, like you talk about menopause, like you talk about diabetes or cancer or something like, oh, you have type 2 diabetes? Oh, you're menopausal, you're postmenopausal? Oh. Like it's a condition, and it's not. It is not a condition, okay? It is a time period. So when we're talking about this, and we're talking about someone who's going through menopause, it is a specific, natural, normal period of time that happens. Okay, let's talk about that. All right, let's talk about some common symptoms, and let's talk about why women gain weight, women gain weight why they have hair growth on their face, why all this stuff happens. Let's talk about this, okay? Let's talk about it. Well, Leslie, good luck with lip reading. That's hard. No sound on that. All right, so let's talk about some of the most common symptoms that happen when menopause doesn't go the way that it is designed and created. Because it is created to be beautiful. It's created to be perfect. It's created to be simple. It's created to be easier than the way that we've made it, the way that we've put ourselves in a situation at. Do you hear this? I'm going to drop a mic on this. Where's my mic? I'm going to drop my mic because I don't think you guys understand. I think you guys think that you're cursed with menopause. I think as a whole, women feel like, oh, we have menopause and you're cursed for it, right? Like, it's not. That's not the way that it was designed. That's not the way that it was created. It's just a new transition, a new era in your life. Your body should be able to handle it, but there's specific things that happen that don't allow your body to adapt. And we're going to talk about that. Okay, here's some common symptoms. I've got the 5 top common symptoms that happen and the 2 main reasons why all of the symptoms happen. There's only 2 reasons why you guys are having all of these symptoms, okay? See, look, hers was fairly easy. That's great. That's the way it's designed to work, okay? Here we go. Ready? Number 1, hot flashes, getting flushed all over. There's only 2 reasons. Flushed all over the place, like hot, feeling like you're going to roast and sweating. Mood swings, bone thinning, osteoporosis, weight gain, lack of sex drive, okay? The hair growth on the face and the hirsutism, that comes up as well in here and comes up. But these are like the top 5 main. Hair loss and hair growth. I mean, like it just changes the endocrine system a lot. Hair loss, hair thinning is a big one that comes up, okay? Now, let's explain why. Let's explain why immediately. Why? Ready for this? I'm going to explain why. There's 2 different reasons why things will come up for all of you guys during menopause. 1, let's see, number 3, 4, and 5. Numbers 3, 4, and 5 are caused by one of them. I'm just looking at it now. I'm realizing the second one causes the first 2 or 3. You ready? So the bone thinning and osteoporosis, the weight gain, and the lack of sex drive, all of this is due to the estrogen levels and the thing happening with your estrogen. Okay, here we go. Here, this is the cause of most of these issues. All right? Now, I have all of those symptoms. I'm 34. Could I have menopause? Yeah, you could start into menopause early. Okay, you totally can. You shouldn't at 34. That's not normal, but you could. Okay, you ready? Let's talk about what happens with estrogen levels. Estrogen is responsible for increasing density in the bone in women. Are you guys hearing this? Is this thing on? Estrogen is responsible, okay? Estrogen is responsible. I can help you with this. Just stay on here. Estrogen is responsible for bone growth and bone stability in women. So when you get, exactly, osteoblasts are what form the bone. Osteoclast is what eats the bone, okay? Now, here we go. Here we go. With estrogen, estrogen is normally higher in the majority of women in America anyway. They're normally estrogen dominant. That's the typical thing that you see coming in the office. Once the ovaries stop working, you do need a certain amount of estrogen still in your system, okay? Still in your system in order to keep you regular, in order to keep your sex drive normal, in order to keep your bone health, in order to keep your muscle tone, and all of these different things. And so when you go into menopause and your ovaries just stop, then you go from too much to nothing at all. And it goes right through the floor, okay? So with estrogen dominance, you just tank out, okay? Now, what the body will do is it freaks out because it knows that you need some and it knows that you've been really high for a long time, so it will compensate. And even though you don't have the estrogen being produced from the ovaries, it will overproduce. It will overproduce in other areas of the body, and you'll get this surge of too much estrogen during menopause, even more than you did before. So estrogen dominance and estrogen surges will cause extra weight gain, fat deposits, because fat cells store estrogen and there's estrogen producing. Then you start getting into a whole other cycle of now they're producing extra estrogen. You're going to have more muscle pain. You're going to have low energy, yes, because it affects the thyroid and it affects the adrenal glands. You're also going to have low sex drive because higher estrogen and those estrogen surges reduces your need for sex and your desire for sex, and so that goes down. Fogginess, brain fog, mood swings, all of that happens because of the surging, because of the overactivity of the estrogen that should be regulated by another organ. Ding, 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 another organ. Okay? So that's estrogen levels. So the weight gain, the lack of sex drive, the bone thinning, and the osteoporosis is because the estrogen isn't in there as much as it should. It tanks and it's surging, 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 surging. And that's where you're getting a lot of that stuff. The forgetfulness, all that. But the forgetfulness is two different things. All right. So now, here's the second cause. The second, let's see. I'm going to write something extra on here. The second reason why so many of you struggle with menopausal symptoms is these. The adrenal glands. If you have adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, you will have a rough transition into menopause. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding, ding. This is it. Okay? With the adrenal glands are going to cause belly fat because they're going to cause extra cortisol release. The adrenal glands are responsible. Remember, if you've been to my live seminars, you know that I teach around the outer circle, the outer ring of the adrenal glands, you should be able to produce estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, pregnenolone, and DHEA. You actually produce all 5 of the sex hormones in the outer ring of the adrenal glands, all right? One reason why that is so key, yes, Janet, that's so huge. One reason why it is so key in that part of the adrenal glands and why they do it is so that as with women, when you're transitioning into menopause, the adrenal glands should be producing the little bit of estrogen that you need. It's like, and it's shooting in the estrogen to allow you to transition easily. So the things that you're doing to stress out your adrenal glands are making your transition worse. So coffee and caffeine is really hard on the adrenal glands. Go back, and I did an adrenal gland scope, and I talked about the adrenal glands and all that they did, and I talked about how you can rebuild them. Yes, you can totally rebuild them. So go look at the adrenal gland scope. That's very important. I'm going to talk about support for menopausal women tomorrow, but go back and look at the adrenal gland scope. I did 2 of them. I did the function and I did support. So you can see what they do, and you can also see how to support those glands. You must be supporting your adrenal glands. If you're already in perimenopause, support your adrenal glands like crazy, like crazy. Really work on those glands. They're the key. The adrenal glands are the key to the transition into menopause and to allowing your body to adapt and to be able to handle all of the changes well. There is a lot of stuff you can do. I can't talk about it on this scope. We're going to do it on the next one, okay? So, because we can't talk about symptoms and that stuff together, you almost got me. So, we'll talk about it next time. Yeah, no coffee. Like, again, it depends on how much coffee you drink and how much you react to it, but coffee is a stressor on the adrenal glands. Why crazy dreams? Probably with the crazy dreams, it's because when you're going into menopause, and the estrogen levels are surging a lot, it could really mess up your digestive system. And the gut has to really balance out, okay? Green tea is totally okay. So during menopause, when that's surging and your gut is being affected, it affects your neurotransmitters, and it makes it really hard for you to choose to be happy and to act happy. And so the neurotransmitters can also affect sleep, and you can have different nightmares and stuff that happen during sleep because the neurotransmitters are uneven and they're unstable. Does that make sense? You see how that works? So it's a neurotransmitter issue. Black tea is better than coffee, but you're still quite a bit. Kombucha, great, yes. So the 2 things you really got to look at, anxiety, watch this, Carrie. Anxiety is a right brain phenomenon. Anxiety and depression, they're both right brain dominant issues, okay? It means that the right side of the brain, your sympathetic nervous system, overfires, okay? Carrie, watch this. Then when you get too much estrogen surging and spiking in your body because you're in perimenopause or you're going into menopause and your body is transitioning or you've been put into surgical menopause, when that estrogen spikes, estrogen has more receptors on the right side of the brain. You will automatically put yourself into an anxiety mode or into an oversympathetic mode with the estrogen going up. Is that not incredible? And it's crazy and it's sad, but it's exactly what happens. But then they end up putting you on an antidepressant when what it is it's a neurological imbalance. And it's neurological imbalance that's happening because of the surgical changes and stuff. Okay? So really look at, there's different like left brain activity, like exercise, listening to sounds in the right ear. Like there's different things that happen that allow you to balance the neurology to naturally let the estrogen levels come down because you're working on your neurological balance, like you're working on your brain. Super fascinating. All of the hormones are produced in your brain. So if the pituitary gland isn't getting the signal and you don't know, then the pituitary gland needs to be supported, and you need to make sure that you're carrying that. Yeah, you're welcome, Carrie. It's a really great question, and it happens so much. I can't tell you how many postmenopausal. So perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, the only difference is the time, when it is. Perimenopause is before, menopause is during, postmenopause means you are for sure in menopause time period, okay? Which is normal. It is normal. Now, you notice how I said, but no, you wouldn't believe the amount of women that I have come in that are on antidepressants. And I hate that for them. I mean, it breaks my heart because at the time in their life, when they could be pouring into people the most, because when you're at menopausal age, you're at the age where it's time for you to start passing a torch down. It's time for you to start mentoring. It's time for you to start helping out, whether it's your own grandkids or your kids or friends or people. It's like it's time to press in, and they get in a mode where they're depressed and have anxiety, and they're shackled and they're frozen in their own home, and they can't do anything, and they can't do all that the Father is calling them to do in that season. Do you know what an impact a grandmother who is not suffering with menopause, a grandmother who can really love on her grandkids and teach them and love on her daughter and love on her friends, do you know the kind of kingdom generational impact she can have? Huge. Huge impact, huge calling, huge sphere, huge. But when she is suffering and when she is frozen because of anxiety and depression during menopause, she can't do any of those things. She can't do any of those things. Okay? All right, so here's one thing I want you to see. You see how when I did these symptoms, when I showed you the most common symptoms, do you see how I said common in quotations? Do you see this? Common in quotations, not normal. I didn't say normal symptoms. I said common. Why? Because the symptoms are not normal. It's okay to have a little bit. Is it normal to have a little bit of changes? Sure, absolutely. Is it normal, hey Jamie, is it normal to have raging hot flashes, not being able to sleep at night, horrible muscle pain? Is it normal? No, it is not. Is it common? Yes, it is common, but it is not normal. So that's one thing you really have to change your brain about it. And so much of it, hey Darby, so much of talking about health conditions and especially menopause time frame is a mindset change. But you go to parties, you go to hang out with your friends, you go to birthday parties, you go to church, you go to all these places, and you guys are all like, oh, I'm in menopause. And everybody's like, oh gosh, I hated this, I did this. And then you sit there and you wallow in the symptoms of everybody else. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm having the same symptoms. And then it gets worse because it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? And it's something that you bring out because you're stressing your adrenal glands out worse. Oh my God, you're in menopause? This is terrible. We will bake you extra brownies that are nasty and make you have more gut issues. Here, let's all go complain about it together because it's terrible. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a cultural thing that we have created, okay? Be weird, just embrace it. That's right, Sarah. Like it is a natural, normal process. Embrace it, work on those adrenal glands, and you should not have the symptoms that everyone has. You shouldn't. That's not the way it was created. Okay? So I hope this is opening up some light bulbs for you guys, or turning on some light bulbs and opening some little creaky doors in your brain. And so what I'm going to do, is this helpful? Does this give you guys a little bit of hope on this? I want you guys to understand, I mean, your body's created perfect. It's not like the body was only created with, engineered obsolescence to where once you hit 55 or 60, it just stops. It stops working well. Okay, good. It's not the thing. Menopause is supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be this incredible transition. And in America, it's not. And it's because of the estrogen levels not being perfect and the adrenal glands, okay? Adrenal glands, all right? You're not going to have 10 years of hell, I promise. You will not have that, but you got to work on these systems of life. You don't support your system? Sure, you might. And so I hate that for you, but you might. Support the systems, work on it, and you will not have it. You will not have 10 years. Tomorrow, we'll talk about supporting a woman during this stage in her life. I'll talk about the products that are going to help you the most. And that way we can help support these women to release you into your God-sized calling to help the next generation. You guys are amazing. Be well. Love on somebody intentionally. Hug your kids today. Life is fragile. Be praying for some good friends of ours. Their mom was murdered last night, so we just need you guys to pray for them and pray for us as we're loving on them. And we're just walking that out. Just hug your family. And so we just, pray for all of you guys that you have a really blessed week. See you guys tomorrow. Remember, health is simple. It's just not easy. Take care.